I'm gonna be using two different methods to attach the butcher block. I have some L brackets that are going to go basically on the inside of the 2x2, screw into the 2x2 and then screw into the top. But for some spots like here, I don't have enough space to use the L brackets. So I'm basically gonna be screwing right into the bottom of the 2x2 up into the counter, which should work out just fine. I don't see a reason why I couldn't do that. This is not the best camera angle, but I don't know what else to do, so sorry guys. So I've got 3 screws in here. I did a screw right here, and then I've got 4 brackets on the inside as well. And I probably could have just done the whole thing screwing through the 2x2s into the butcher block, but I don't know. I don't think it matters. It's down, it's secured, it's good to go. So let's start measuring out and cutting the panel pieces. I gotta get those pulled out, they're kind of tucked in the garage. This is the tongue and groove paneling that I'm using. And I said it was pine, but it's cedar. And I got the first couple pieces down, you see here on the back there, and then this front piece, just to kind of show you what I'm gonna be doing. Basically, I need to cover up the 2x2s, but this space is gonna be open. This of course is gonna be open, and that's gonna be open because it's gonna get like a cabinet door on it, and this will have like a little pop down door. So basically I need a whole bunch of little trim pieces to go on those 2x2s, except for the sides here. This will get covered up completely, and then the front will get covered up completely as well. So those will just have some long pieces on them. And then you can see here that I trimmed it to match the frame of the 2x2s. And I'll need to put some hinges on there for the door, and those will be mounted on the inside. So I wanted that all flush. But for over here, I am leaving a little bit of an overhang, just because having the door, the type of door that I'm going to put on it, I think it'll look a little bit nicer with that extra trim, rather than making it flush and then when you open it, I don't know, it's just an aesthetic thing. It doesn't actually matter. But I need to get a whole bunch of those cut out, and like for these pieces, I need probably 2 more small ones, and then I'll have to do a full length piece across this and trim it to match the height of that, and then some more skinny ones all the way up to the top of the butcher block. For this long piece, I'm going to trace behind it, above and underneath. That way I know where to cut it. It's coming along nicely. I still have a whole lot of pieces I need to put in, but I ran out of screws, so I gotta run to Home Depot. Hopefully 300 more does the trick. I have a whole bunch more pieces to get cut out. Made some notes on my hand so I wouldn't forget. And yeah, let's get all those cut out and attached. All the paneling pieces are in, and it's looking good. All the ones down there are done. So the next thing I'm gonna do, which I've already kind of started working on, is putting up a bunch of corner trim pieces, basically around all the open spaces, except for here and there, because they're gonna have doors on them. But everywhere else, we're gonna have some corner trim going all the way around, just like that. I don't own a brad nailer, as I think what they're called. So what I'm gonna have to do is I've got just a small drill bit, and I'm gonna have to hold the trim piece on there, screw a hole in it, and then just use like a regular panel board nail and get those tapped in there. And then I'll throw some wood glue on there as well. And I've already like measured all these pieces and just had to cut like angles on them so that they fit together. And you'll see that as they come together. I think that should work. I did screw in a little over half the length of my nail because I don't want to have to hit the nail all the way into it, but I still want it to be tight, so I kind of have to find some middle ground there. Let's get some glue on it and get that first nail in. And just a little bead. I haven't hit that all the way in because I'm worried that the head of the hammer will dent the wood, but I'll come back over all the nails and hit them with like a screwdriver or something so it's focused right on that nail. But let's get some more of these in, and we'll go back and do that all at the end. Yeah, I'm happy with how that looks. Like how it came out. I'm gonna drop the oven in there just so we can see how it looks, and then I'll be ready to start assembling the sink. The trim on each side added a little bit of space, and so it was real tight getting that in because of the handles on the sides, but it did fit. So snug is fine as long as it, you know, goes in there. And I wanted to point out too, from this back side, the attachment for the propane goes right there, and normally you'd have like a smaller tank on it, but something I'm going to order is a hose that is basically an adapter so I can use a larger propane tank with the oven, because just from what I've read online, it like burns through the propane fairly quick, and so having the bigger tank is nice. And so that hose I'm going to end up drilling a hole in the board here, and then storing the propane tank underneath, and then there'll be access to it from here, and then this will have like a drop down door on it, which you'll see in just a little bit once I get it built. The first thing I'm going to do is actually attach the sink to the counter before I start attaching everything to it. These drop-in sinks always come with some type of attachment like this. I've used a couple different ones. It looks like this one, yeah, slides in like that, and then this piece here will hook onto my counter, and then as I spin that, it tightens it up. So I don't know how hard those will be to hook on once it's already dropped in, so I'm just going to hook them all on before I drop it in. To tighten these up, you just make sure that those clamps are over the wood, and then you just twist them. And they don't need to be crazy tight, but they are firm on there once I tighten them up with that drill. With that down, the next thing I'm going to do is attach my faucet. And I buy these all in kits, so it has like all the parts that you need. So this just slides onto the top piece, and then I'll screw it in from the bottom. This is my hose that's going to attach to the faucet, but this is the hose that I need to be running from the pump to the faucet. So I have an adapter that I'm going to throw on the end of this, and then I'll be able to connect the two. I'm going to wrap my attachment in, I think this is just called plumber's tape. Give that 2.5 to 3 wraps. It's like the threads aren't catching. I think I have the wrong size adapter. I'm gonna have to go back to Home Depot because I do not have the right attachment on hand. I'm gonna keep doing what I can for now though. So going to the drain now, I've got this assembly here. And this whole thing basically separates into two parts, one that goes above the sink, one that goes under. So I'm just gonna separate those. Drop that in. And these parts also came with the sink, so there isn't like any guesswork. That's on there nice and tight. I'm gonna take this attachment off the bottom now, and we'll attach a P-trap to that. Drops in there. And then there's like a seal ring in it. That's what those are called. And this is actually longer than I want it to be, so I'm gonna end up cutting that. But I need to check the length on my hose first. But this one end will attach to the P-trap. I think that's what that's called. I'm self-taught on a lot of this, so a lot of times I won't really know the names of something. But yeah, that'll slide on there. I'll put a clamp on it as well, just make it tight, and then basically run this hose into our gray water jug. But that's obviously way too high up. So I'm gonna cut this basically until there's only like 1.5 inches left, and then reattach the hose to it. All right, got a tiny little piece on there now. That should be good. On there nice and snug. I used a razor blade and basically just cut the hole out. So, be able to pop this hose on. Just like that. Spin that right on top of the jug. Boom. Drain. That is good to go. Now I just have to finish the faucet, so gotta actually run to Home Depot now. It's a good thing I live close to Home Depot because I spend way too much time there. But I got the correct adapter, so let's get that on. All right, got it. So this other end is going to attach to the faucet. And so I actually have to wrap the faucet before screwing that onto it. And you won't be able to see it, but it's the same thing as I did to those other pieces. That's the base of the faucet. That's attached now. So I've got my 12-volt pump and then a small board that I'm going to use to attach it, and I'll screw that in probably right about there. That should fit without a problem. Yeah, it's right there. And I won't be doing the electrical right now, or like in this video, because I don't have any of my electrical set up, but because it's a 12-volt pump, it's super straightforward. There's just a positive and a negative wire, and then before attaching that to my fuse box, I'll put like a master switch on it. With these pumps, you always want this, like the head of the pump to be above these, the spots where the hoses are attached. That way, if you do it this way, you could have like water accidentally like get into your pump. Anyways, it's in the notes when you buy these, but they're super straightforward. So let's get that screwed in and then get the hose attached to the pump. These pumps have little rubber feet on them, and so when you screw it in, you don't want to make it super tight, because that actually helps reduce the vibrations and the sound that you're going to get when you turn the sink on. that is on there. And this pump, it'll tell you the flow of the water with that little arrow. So I know that the water is going to be going that way, which means the hose to the faucet needs to be attached on the left side. Because of the type of attachment on the pump, I'm going to be using this hose, which is why we had to put the attachment on the hose from the faucet, and basically just clamp a little piece of it to the pump, and then clamp the other side of it to the faucet hose. That'll just go on just like that, and then basically plug it into the pump and get some little, I don't know what those are called, but clamps of some kind. That first one is tightened on there. So let's get the other half on. Those are attached, and then I put that that little strap on there just to keep that hose held up. That way there's no like pressure on where it's coming right off the pump, because it was kind of flexible. So that'll just hold it right in place, which should work great. So the next thing I need to do is attach the other end of the hose to this one, and then run that into my other jug, and that'll be the freshwater tank. Same thing as the other end, just putting the hose on there and then tightening up the clamp. That's good to go. And then the other end, got to run into our jug. With hoses like this, I've noticed they sometimes like curl up in the jug. So I have another hose, and this hose I'll be putting into the jug, and then the smaller one coming off the pump will just run into this. This actually worked out great, and it was kind of unplanned. So this is the hose pumping up from the freshwater tank, and the bigger hose that I had, it fit right on top of the cutout in this cap. So that can actually just stay in there, and it doesn't, I mean, it's secured, it's good to go. So that worked out nicely. So that'll just sit in there, and then you drop your hose back in. We're good to go. So aside from the electrical, that is finished. That sink is ready. Which obviously the electrical is a pretty important part because it's not going to work without it. But yeah, as far as the setup goes, that came together pretty nicely. I didn't even measure the space. It was kind of, I was unsure how it was going to fit with the wheel well there. And I still need to do like the paneling in the back, so I'll end up pulling those containers out another time. But yeah, I was happy with how those fit in there because I didn't have them when I built the actual frame for the kitchenette. But the last thing I need to do to kind of wrap up this video is basically just to cut out the door that's going to go here and the door that's going to go here, and then I'll get those hinges on, which I won't really do a step-by-step by. It's going to be very straightforward, and then let's show you how it turned out. Aside from actually like finishing the doors, that is good to go. So I've got this bottom drawer, pops out like that. The same hinges that I put up on these cabinets here, but of course upside down, which I think works pretty good for like a lower storage space. And then the open space here. So I still haven't decided on like what I want to do as far as like patterns on my doors and cabinets, or if I'm just gonna paint them or what. But you'll see those at some point once I figure out a design. I'm pretty happy with how this turned out. The oven will open up just like that. I do still need to put, I'll put like some L brackets underneath the oven, just so that it's secured, there's no movement there. Because you definitely wouldn't want it, you know, falling over or something while you're driving. Keep an eye out for the next video. I'm gonna be finishing up the other counter space. It's gonna go here as like a desk. Need to get the ceiling in, and then I need to finish doing like the fabric over here, and then get some other storage built here, and then get the bed in, and then at some point pour an epoxy floor. So lots of things to do, but it's moving right along.